Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. It is United Way Day, so we are back on the Zooms with Andy Gale. He is CEO at United Way Northern Shenandoah Valley. And Andy, I understand we're going to talk today about a survey that you are putting together to help define what a nonprofit is in our communities, how many of them we have, and the services that they provide to who, which I think is going to be an incredibly valuable piece of information to have when it's done.
Yeah, we're really excited. There's been lots of talk. We've heard so many people from elected officials, community members. Oh, there's so many nonprofits. There's a bunch of overlap. We said, yeah, there are a lot of registered nonprofits. Some work here. Our first pass was, are you located here? Are you a human service? Are you just based here? There's a lot that are based here that work internationally, different ones that way. Let's look at that overlapping question. How can we ask the nonprofits what they do, what their programs are? And really, it's twofold. It's one, we're going to have an answer to everyone's comment of, oh, there's too many. Here's the answer. Here's how they don't overlap. Here's how they overlap. Here's how they're working together, blah, blah, blah. And then two, it'll help us update our resource guide that has been needed since 2022. So if you're a nonprofit listening, you should have gotten an email. If not, please reach out to us. It's going to be on our website as well. But United Way Northern Shenandoah Valley is conducting a regional nonprofit survey to better understand the nonprofit safety net across our communities. This information will be used to identify service gaps and overlaps, support collaboration, inform community leaders and funders, and develop a public-facing nonprofit resource guide.
I think it's incredibly important from the flip side, too, for those of us that are simply residents. We're just living in Strasburg. We're living in Front Royal. We're living in Winchester, wherever, Luray, any of those places, to also see these are all the nonprofits in my area, and these are the people that they're serving. Because I think sometimes regular people just going about their days don't really have a full grasp of the people in their community that are having serious struggles.
Yeah, there's definitely a need. And that's one of the questions we ask. It starts pretty basic, your name, your contact, your website. How would you classify it? Are you a human service, advocacy group, coalition, education, health, housing or homelessness, food access and nutrition, workforce, arts, culture, faith-based or other? And then it asks where you're located. So are you in the city of Winchester? Are you in Frederick County, Clark County, Warren, Shenandoah, or Page? And then which areas do you serve? Because there's a lot like us that are located in Winchester, but serve all six of the localities. And we did that in case you're serving in West Virginia, Fauquier, Loudoun, etc. But then it gets the details. And this is one that I think we're going to get a ton of information. It asks about the programs because some of these nonprofits have programs that, I mean, you hear a lot because you have people on talking about them. But a lot of people, and even me included as United Way CEO, don't know that some of these nonprofits are offering programs that help with housing placement, with rental assistance, with utility assistance, with food, with life coaching, so many things like that. So we really want to get a definitive list that we're also going to share with Virginia 211, which is really that resource navigation hub for the Commonwealth. But it's going to give us a full list of sort of services. We're going to be able to sort them. We're partnering with CCAP. Andrea has a data intern that's helping her with a project that she's going to loan over to United Way for some data analysis and crunching. But we're going to try and do it. We're going to leave it open all of February. We already had 12 responses, which is pretty cool. After they talk about the programs, the details of it, it talks about how many people does the program serve? Are you currently meeting demand? Is demand exceeding capacity? Are you unsure? Do you have to turn people away? How many people are on the wait list? How do they access the program? And then who do you receive referrals from? Because we really want to know all these details. It's a big survey. They can enter 5 programs, and then if they have more than that, they have to type a paragraph for me. But then we ask some other hard-hitting questions that we want to know. There's things that you ask a lot on your show, so thank you to the Valley today for some of our inspiration. But we talk about who are you collaborating with? What's your current approach to collaboration? Are you actively seeking new partners? Are you open to it, but capacity limited or not seeking partners? And then from your perspective, what services are missing or insufficient in our region? That one's going to be pretty telling.
I
And then we
think so
talk.
too, because they're the ones on the front lines. So while somebody from 40,000 feet can say, hey, we need to be serving this population for this service, those nonprofits are dealing with those people. And if you've not been in one of those situations, you don't really know what they may need at any point in that journey. So they're really going to have some good information conversation for that question.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. Then we ask if you've asked for letters of support from your locality or the local governments. And then this is a narrative, the visibility in our closing questions. We asked, what do most people often misunderstand about your organization's work or the needs it addresses? I think that's going to be really telling from the nonprofit side and also be a conversation point for when we take this to the city councils, when we take this to the community, when we talk to our funders. And then we close out with, what's the biggest challenge facing your organization? The nice thing with Microsoft Forms that's hosting all this, they do word clouds for us. So those last questions, shocker, the number one we're seeing is money, financials, high cost of food, rising demands, aging volunteer base. What do people misunderstand? There's a bunch of different details. Things are complex. The issues are there. Guests are adults, treatments or shelter. There's lots of facts that we're already getting just from 12 people, but it's been interesting. We sent it out to a bunch of the nonprofits, some of the churches, even some state agencies that we asked to apply because they have programs. So will we include them in the data sets? No, because they're not necessarily a 501c3 nonprofit, but we still ask them, like Karen from Virginia Tech Extension. She said, oh, we're a state agency, but we have great programs. We'd love to be listed. I go, just do it. Just mark yourself as a state agency and we'll pull that out. So we're going to do some cleaning of the data, but it's taking people on average 21 minutes. So that's not awful.
Not terrible.
I was expecting, I said in a nonprofit collaborative meeting that it could take half an hour to an hour, and everyone sort of grimaced. And I was like, well, we need the data. That's the thing we hear time and time again, whether it's donors, chamber members, elected officials. Aren't they the same as this one? Who's overlapping with this? This will really give us an answer. And we've seen some great collaboration. That's one thing United Way has really pushed that we can talk about in the next segment. But we've seen some really cool partnerships come out of just conversations of people talking to us. And we're like, hey, that's really similar to what so-and-so is doing. Have you guys met? No. Cool. Let's grab coffee.
And that's part of our vision and part of what United Way has been trying to do for a lot of years now. You and I are in the middle of, as board chair and CEO, are in the middle of putting together a new strategic plan. And so I've been reading through the one that we had from 2015, the one that we had in, I think it was 2020. So we do them in 3, 5, 10-year increments. And it is shocking to me how much things have changed, and yet how much they've stayed the same. You just have to adapt. And I think smaller nonprofits struggle with that because of all the things you just mentioned. They're aging out on their volunteers that a lot of times help them with some of that admin work and keeping track of the data. They don't really know how to collect data or what the mechanisms are to be able to put that into a spreadsheet and figure out what this actually means. So I think this is going to be, like I said earlier, an incredibly valuable tool for the nonprofits and for the general public.
Yeah, and we're going to share it. I'll give you the link to put in the show notes. We're sharing it on social. We've shared it in all our email blasts. I'm reaching out to our chambers, so Top of Virginia, Page, Shenandoah, and Front Royal, to see if they'll send them out to their nonprofit members. We just really want to get the word out. We want all the nonprofits, even little ones that we might not even know about that aren't a funded United Way partner. Given for next round of impact grants and grants going forward, we're going to ask you if you filled out our survey, but we want to just have the data, and we think that's the role the United Way can serve. Our mission is to expand people's ability to care for one another. So it's very broad, but this is really how we can do that. We can be that convener, that umbrella org that can say, actually, yes, there are a lot. There's this number, but have you talked about how many are partnering? How many are working together? How many share resources and funding? And how many work really to ensure that, okay, there might be a lot of food pantries, but some food pantries are drive-through. Some people don't have cars. Some you can walk up to. Some give out in the mornings. What if you're working? Some give out at night. They all have started talking and are making sure that they're not overlapping too hard. And that's one that we hear all the time. There's too many homeless and people experiencing homelessness. How do we get more nonprofits to do the work? They are. They're doing it differently. Some people are great for the missions program. Some people are great for Watts. It's one of those things where the need is in the community. The nonprofits don't exist just because they're fun. Some have been started from people's losses, for people's passions, for that. But really, there's a bit of Darwinism. Those either don't become large or they fizzle out or they merge in with someone else. There's lots of options out there. And by no means the nonprofits is this the United Way's way to say, you two do the same thing. You have to merge. We can't do that.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of power.
No, we have some influence and our grants are now all require collaboration. But we want to see that because that helps the dollar go farther. You've heard me talk about it here. Our biggest grant we gave out is $50,000 to CCAP, and now Andrea's 7 partners. Every time I talk to her, she's added more, which we are fully supportive of. We want to see more partnerships form. It's helping people get fresh fruits and vegetables. It's helping share freezer space and trucks and resources that they can all benefit those that are food insecure in our community.
And it's eliminating that overlap. that you talked about earlier. So you don't have to worry if you donate to any of those places that you're giving to one something that the other one is also doing because they're collaborating. They all know what the other one's doing and can work together to serve that broader base versus everybody trying to save the same person. We hear a lot of times from donors in particular about how do I know that these people aren't gaming the system, which annoys me to no end when people say that because the numbers of people that are doing that are so incredibly small that that is not really a factor. But this goes to show that these are mechanisms that they put in place. Working together ensures that that same person isn't able necessarily to game the system because they all know who they are.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that, like with 211, it'll make referrals you can track, you can see, you can understand who's calling for what and where the services are. What we really want to do and why we've been supportive of 211 is at a state level. There's programs that are available to the state and the Commonwealth wide that we don't manage up here, or we don't have control of, that we don't know about, that we can still send people to get help and support. So that's one thing that this is not replacing. This is not us trying to get this master list that will replace 211. We are supportive of 211. If you need help, you need resources, please pick up your phone and dial 211, or you can go to 211virginia.org and look at resources that are available both in our region as well as Commonwealth wide.
Let's take a break. When we come back, let's dive a little bit deeper, as you mentioned a second ago, into the collaborations. And I want to talk about some of those misconceptions because you mentioned earlier that funding is one of the challenges that people have listed. And I had Robin on from Watts just this past Monday. And one of the things that has always surprised me in talking to these nonprofits is how few of them get federal, state, or local funding. And I think this survey is going to help shine a light on that as well. So, can we talk a little bit about that in the next segment?
Yes, ma'am.
We are on the Zooms today with Andy Gale. It is United Way Day. He is CEO of United Way Northern Shenandoah Valley. We're going to come back and talk more about the survey that they have pushed out to our local nonprofits. Get more details about that when we come back in just a couple of minutes. Just going to take a quick second during the break for a public service announcement. Winchester Little Theater, a place very near and dear to my heart, has discovered that ticket resellers are listing their shows online and jacking up the prices. But here's the truth. They only sell tickets through their official website, winchesterlittletheater.org, for $25 with discounts for students and seniors, but some of these websites are charging $45, $65, even hundreds of dollars. And while ticket reselling is legal, it hurts patrons and small nonprofit theaters like Winchester Little Theater. So before you buy, please check their website, winchesterlittletheater.org. That's theater, theatre.org. And thank you for supporting local theater. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on the Zooms for United Way Day. So I am chatting today with Andy Gale. He is CEO at United Way Northern Shenandoah Valley. We're talking about a massive survey. Well, the audience is massive. The survey itself, not terrible. 20 minutes isn't
Average.
crazy to spend some time filling in the questions, particularly, Andy, because the information that you're going to get back is going to be so valuable to the community, to the nonprofits themselves, to funders and donors, things like that that are out in the ether. So I think this survey might end up being a turning point for a lot of nonprofits in our community.
We hope so. It's also good just to get the data, to understand. There's so many different programs, different services. People have expanded, grown over time. Every time I talk to a new nonprofit, I learn something new. So we're sending this out, have it up and open all of February. So we still have 24 days to jump on, spend on average what they're saying 21 minutes and 47 seconds. I think I said half an hour. I did send out in our first email blast that I'll be resending a PDF version just in case you want to write your answers first and paste them in later. But we want to make it easy. It also just wants to give details because we want to see who's collaborating, what programs are happening, who's doing what in our region. Because there's probably people that are based in Winchester, serving Winchester, Frederick, Clark, that are doing similar things to those in Shenandoah or Page or Warren counties, where we can say, hey, have you guys talked? And if they say no, that's easy. I know Andrea from CCAP yesterday, we were on a call. She's talking to the CCAP in Front Royal and the CCAP up in Martinsburg, and they're all going to start working together on things. A great one, Kim started, we both had coffee with Ingrid from Shinpaco,
I love Ingrid.
She is wonderful. And we said, hey, have you talked to Skip up at NW Works? And what about some other, those serving those intellectual disabilities down in your area? And she actually got a group together, and Kim went down to Shenandoah County and met with them all. And they've come together, they've formalized an alliance. They're doing some really neat work that they're going to be able to work together to get larger funding and more regional work and things like that that we really love seeing. It's really neat to see when nonprofits collaborate. Winchester started a nonprofit collaborative. There's a group of us that are meeting every 2 weeks and then having quarterly meetings with all the nonprofits just so we can talk and understand what's going on in our industry, in our space, and how we can work together, be supportive. There's this misconception that we're all competing. While in some cases, yeah, you are competing for grants, you're competing for visibility, for show placement on the Valley today. But it's really not that way. I talk to other leaders across the region. No one is out to get anyone. We're not at each other's throats. There's not a war chest and a panic button in my office. Our office guard dog likes treats and toys too much to be effective.
I will give Max credit for that. Yes, he is quite the cute little guard dog.
Yeah. So we're not here to fight. We're not here to disagree and bicker. We all talk, we all work together. We always try to counteract there's too many of you, there's too many repetitive programs, you got to do something about it. We are. This survey is the first step in answering that question, because I think a lot of it's been conjecture, a lot of it's people. If you pull the IRS data for Winchester City, yeah, there's 400 and some nonprofits that are registered with the IRS. But when you say nonprofit, you have to understand they're different tax exempt organizations. So what we're talking about, and when the United Way and others, we're 501c3s. So 501c3 is the only category eligible for tax deductible charitable donations. But there's also C1, there's C2s, that's religious, educational, scientific. C1s are corporations organized under the Act of Congress, so federal credit unions, things like that. C4, advocacy and lobbying. We got social and recreational clubs. It's C7, so that's baseball teams, little leagues, things like that. We got labor, you got farms. There's a whole lot of different organizations, so those pop up. What we're looking at is human services, animals as well. We include Lavinda and the SPCA teams. We want to understand programs and those organizations that are 501c3s. The chambers are all 501c6s, so they're association.
They're membership based.
And there's other ones, C9s can sell classes. So that's trainings and webinars. And we've talked to Paula on the show before that does trauma trainings. Those would go under that. Where here's United Way, SPCA, Literacy, Faith over at Laurel Center, all of those were 501c3s. So if you look at just that, you have to sort out, hey, who's based here and doing work locally? Who's based here but working internationally? Who's here looking at a national level, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, the country itself is so mobile these days that somebody could retire to Winchester, be living at Orchard Ridge or Lake Frederick or somewhere like that, and running a nonprofit that serves the community they came from. But their address is here because here is where they're based out of. And they may not even necessarily be serving this particular community because of whatever it is that that particular nonprofit does. So it really is going to get down to a granular level of this is who's here, this is what they're doing, and here are the local people that they are supporting when they do this.
Yeah, and we'll share this. And one thing I've always said since taking over United Way, we want to be transparent. We want to let our partners know, our funders know, our community knows what's going on. So we will share the data. For those that ask not to share certain things, we're not going to do that. But we'll get aggregate stuff. We'll run some reports and we'll publish this. This is something we want to share. We want to say to others, hey, here's what's going on in the Valley. It's much like what we did back when the Big Beautiful Bill was being passed, where we said, what's the local impact? We wrote that report up. It went to Senator Kane, and he actually came out and spent a day with us. So it's been pretty interesting to see that people like responding. That's the one nice thing with United Way. People know that we're doing this for the good of the community. This is not some big power grab so that we can say, you're small, we're taking you over. This is not M&A. This is not Succession. While it'd be a lot of fun, I don't have
I
billions
really
of
need to watch
dollars.
that show. I have not watched that show. So I guess I got to spend some time on this frigid weekend and watch that and binge that show.
I think you'd like it. Although, as my chair, I don't know. You could. There's some power plays in there that could cause some chaos. So,
I could learn a few things.
uh-oh. Oh, no. least let me get the survey done first.
The other part of this, and we mentioned it earlier, is the educational tool that this is also going to be for the public. Because I feel like one of the misconceptions, and I know you asked that question to each of them in the survey, but one of the misconceptions community wide is that they think that some of these nonprofits get funded from their tax dollars. And that is a very, very small percentage. And at the same time, I think there are probably a lot of us, me included, that wouldn't mind if my tax dollars were allocated for some of these services. When you were talking earlier about Watts and the rescue mission, I mentioned I had Robin on earlier. I would love for the city or the counties to know what the unhoused population looks like and what these nonprofits are doing, because they're the only ones that can really build affordable housing. They're the only ones that can do that sort of thing. We don't have nonprofits in our area that are going to go out and buy a bunch of land and build a bunch of apartments. We need those kinds of collaborations as well. And this survey is going to give them the data to make informed decisions.
Definitely. And that's one that we want to be able to give it to them. We'll make the contacts. We'll be that sort of convener of a meeting. If any of the localities want to meet, we're happy to talk about our survey, bring the nonprofits to the table. And then you've seen it around. I'm holding up the nonprofit community resource guide that we did 2022 with the help of Navy Federal. We're going to put something out again, but we're not printing it. The second you hit print, someone's going to have a change. It's still been a great opportunity for people to understand and know who's here. We're using it still, but we're going to update it and put something on our website so that people can search, and then also send it down to 211. Local tax dollars, it's always hard. City of Winchester used to give it out. They stopped that program back in 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in that range. The county still gives a little, but at the end, like United Way, when I remember you calling me, you were still vice chair at the time when the federal funding cuts happened, and asked, how much did you lose? We were lucky. We lost less than $200 because we were a pass through for some emergency money. So I wasn't concerned. There are others that got a lot of funding cut. Katie over at ARE lost millions of dollars, and it's finally hopefully coming back for them because they do such important work. But when we lost $2 and some million out of our local nonprofit space from federal cuts, the localities can't make that up. That's something that the city of Winchester would have to raise our taxes through the roof.
I was going to say, I'm okay with giving some of my tax dollars, but I don't know that I want to do it to the tune of over $2 million.
Yeah, so that's the hard part where it's like, how do you balance this? And then local philanthropy is great. There's so many generous people in this community that give. We're doing our annual statement. So if you gave to United Way this last year, not through your paycheck, your letter is in the mail today being Tuesday. But we'll have that.
You should have gotten it by the time you're hearing this
now.
On
Friday. There's so many genuine individuals, foundations that are doing such great work. How can we get this to them so that they know that, hey, we're investing? So we've done the math, and in our return now, $1 invested in United Way, once you take into account all the impact grants, all the work we do, it turns into $1.77 in the community. So that's a pretty good return on an investment. I'd take it if I were investing my own personal money. Like we said earlier, our strategic plan, my goal is the next 33 cents. How do we double the dollar in our community? And I think this survey is going to help, because the more collaboration we can do, the farther you can stretch it. And you can look at the non-tangible stuff. Bright Futures releases responded. Keeping a kid fed keeps them in school longer. In school longer, they're going to learn to read. By the time they're at third grade, they'll be on grade level, which means they're going to graduate on time and be a productive member of society. And sort of the ripple effect starts way young. We want to see that, because that's an impact that we have to measure. But those are investments that organizations like United Way, which we're turning 80 this spring, we've been investing in this community a long time, and we're going to continue doing it for the next 80 plus years.
So for people that are listening today, let's break it down a little bit. If there is a nonprofit leader, board member, or volunteer for a nonprofit in our area, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to reach out to their particular nonprofit and say, hey, did you get this survey? Can you fill it out? And if they didn't, tell them to reach out to you. What kind of response do you want?
So if you work with a nonprofit, you work at a nonprofit, talk to your leaderships. We try to get to the EDs. There were some bounces. There's a lot of people changing roles. It's going to be on our website. It'll be up by the time the show airs. We're putting it on our socials. I'm putting it on my personal social. We've sent emails. We're going to have our health send emails out. We're going to blast this as far and wide as we can. So if you go to a nonprofit, or you're a small nonprofit that isn't a partner, feel free to reach out. You can email info@unitedwaynsv.org. Call the office, shoot me an email. I'm out and about and around, ask me, but we'll have it out and available. We've sent the emails out to all the contacts we have, but if you are a nonprofit and you haven't seen it, please visit our website, unitedwaynsv.org, and we'll have it on the front page with a button to click to get to the survey.
And I have a brand spanking new / old Valley Today Facebook page. So I will even put the link there. I'm on Facebook officially as the show.
That's exciting.
Thank you for the work that you're doing to put this thing together, the work that is still yet to be done once you start compiling all this data and figuring out what it all means. I appreciate that this was something that you're very passionate about, and I think it's going to end up being something really, again, valuable for our community. So I appreciate that you're taking the time to give me the details for it today.
This is something we're excited to talk about. Please, anyone has any questions, please reach out, info@unitedwaynsv.org. Give us a call, 540-536-1610, or find me out and about and let's talk about it. But let's get this to all the nonprofits we can. We're going to accept responses through all of February, do data crunching in March, and Q2 have a report out to the community.
And it's going to be a frigid, cold weekend. So what better way to spend it than
Spend
on your
20 minutes of your
laptop
time.
filling out a survey? Hot cup of coffee and keyboard warrior.
There you go. Thank you always, Janet.
I hope you stay warm this weekend, and I will be back on Monday chatting with Deb Fleming from the American Red Cross. It is time for our disaster recovery conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about the blood shortages during that conversation as well. So meet me back here for that on Monday, just a few minutes after noon.